Looking ahead, we recognize two major drivers of economic success: internationalization and innovation. Dr. Tan Wu Meng asked about our trade priorities and whether our pursuit of free trade agreements is still relevant in the current global economic climate. As a small country with an open economy, connectivity is core to Singapore's survival and prosperity. Having free and open markets is critical for Singapore's development. It is by staying open to trade, people, and ideas that we can participate in global growth and build the deep capabilities needed for our people and companies to access new markets, onboard cutting-edge technologies, and create good jobs. Singapore, therefore, remains committed to the multilateral and rules-based trading system. Over the years, we have built depth and breadth in our international linkages. We have an extensive network of 22 implemented free trade agreements and economic partnership agreements with 33 trading partners. Our FTAs have helped our companies benefit from tariff savings of over 1.1 billion Singapore dollars in 2016. To illustrate with an example, plastics product manufacturer Singa Plastics Limited have taken advantage of several of our FTAs, for example, the ASEAN Trade in Goods Agreement, the ASEAN-Korea FTA, as well as the Singapore-Australia FTA, to grow its business and maintain competitive pricing for its exports into these countries. The company's exports have increased by close to 30% since it began using these FTAs. As Singa Plastics also exports to France, Germany, and Greece, it is keenly waiting the ratification of the EU-Singapore FTA. We will continue to enhance our connectivity by strengthening connections with existing trading partners as well as forging new connections with emerging markets. We will continue to work with the European Commission to expedite the ratification of the EU-Singapore FTA. We review our FTAs from time to time and upgrade them to ensure that they remain relevant and useful to our businesses. There is, for example, the ongoing negotiations with China to review and upgrade the China-Singapore FTA. The upgrade looks to deepen bilateral benefits by enhancing areas such as investment provisions, trade facilitation, rules of origin, and improved market access for Singapore businesses, especially in the services sectors. We are expanding Singapore's connectivity by joining regional FTAs such as the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, or CPTPP, which will be signed next week, and the ongoing Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, or RCEP. Singapore is also negotiating FTAs with major regional blocs such as the Eurasian Economic Union and the Pacific Alliance. Mr. Randolph Tan observed that more should be done to promote the opportunities of the CPTPP to our small and medium enterprises. Our pursuit of FTAs is for the benefit of our companies and their workers. We will continue to work with the Singapore Business Federation and the trade associations and chambers to outreach efforts to help our companies, in particular our SMEs. These efforts include company outreach sessions, FTA training courses, and even one-on-one sessions to follow up on specific concerns or opportunities which companies are keen on. Mr. Hendrik Kwek and Ms. Sun Xueling asked about the government's plans to help Singapore companies take advantage of the shift in global economic focus towards Asia. Indeed, Asia's growth brings about many opportunities with rising consumption as well as demand for infrastructure in Asia, offering significant export and investment opportunities for Singapore-based companies. We are working with China on commercially meaningful areas in its Belt and Road Initiative, or BRI. The BRI has the potential to foster regional cooperation, enhance connectivity, and accelerate infrastructure development across Asia. Singapore companies are well placed to tap on BRI opportunities. For instance, Singapore and China have recognized our strong complementarities and are jointly developing the China-Singapore Chongqing Connectivity Initiative Southern Transport Corridor, which aims to improve connectivity between Western China and Southeast Asia. 3 Singapore companies, Pacific International Lines, PSA International, and YCH Group, have entered into 2 joint ventures with Chongqing companies to steer the development of the Southern Transport Corridor projects. We are also collaborating with the government of Andhra Pradesh in India to develop the state's new capital city of Amaravati, as well as to promote greater economic collaboration with Andhra Pradesh. In 2017, Ascender Singh Bridge and Sembcorp Development formed a Singapore consortium to master develop the commercial core of Amaravati together with its government. Since then, our companies have been actively exploring smart city urban solution opportunities in Amaravati. Closer to home, ASEAN has strong potential as a market. We are strengthening our engagements with ASEAN through both regional economic integration as well as bilateral initiatives with the ASEAN countries. Ms. Cheryl Chan, Mr. Henry Kwek, Mr. Lim Hng Kiang, and Ms. Sun Xueling asked about our plans to work with other ASEAN member states to unlock ASEAN's potential to benefit Singapore and Singaporeans. As a region, ASEAN is making good progress in deepening economic integration under the ASEAN Economic Community, or the AEC. The prospects are good. ASEAN is currently the 6th largest economy in the world and enjoys a steady growth rate of 5%. By 2030, ASEAN has the potential to become the 4th largest single market in the world after China, the US, and the EU. Despite the rising nationalistic tendencies and anti-trade sentiments elsewhere in the world, ASEAN has stayed on course in its trajectory of regional economic integration. ASEAN is also navigating the rapid pace of technological change and digital disruption. For businesses seeking to enter or expand their presence in ASEAN markets and beyond, the AEC, since its realization in 2015, has lowered entry barriers, reduced transaction costs, widened choices for consumers, and generated job opportunities in the region. Take, for instance, Trends Home Electrical. The company started out as a single home appliance shop in 1998. Today, their products are carried by over 450 retailers in Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, and Thailand. It has been using the ASEAN Trade in Goods Agreement since 2015 for its products to enjoy tariff savings and has experienced a close to 15% increase in exports since then. Trends Home Electrical plans to continue innovating, upgrading its capabilities, and further expand into Southeast Asia to capture the growth opportunities there. At this juncture, Mr. Chairman, I would like to clarify Mr. Lim Hng Kiang's comment that while AEC was established by end of 2015, but ASEAN failed to achieve 1/5 of the 506 measures and had deferred them for 10 years to 2025. It is true that ASEAN did not quite achieve all 506 measures in 2015. We achieved about 80% of them, but we have not neglected the rest. We continue to track, monitor, and work on the rest of the measures. And I'm happy to report that to date, 88% of the AEC measures have been implemented. So we are not deferring them to 2025. And this year, as part of Singapore's ASEAN Chairmanship, we are pursuing an ASEAN agreement on e-commerce to help our businesses expand and leverage on the e-commerce market potential in Southeast Asia. The ASEAN e-commerce scene is still at its infancy, with some companies finding it confusing to navigate the varying e-commerce regulations in various ASEAN countries. This agreement that we are aiming to sign this year will streamline some of these regulations so that aspiring entrepreneurs and SMEs can market their products and services regionally with greater ease and make it safer to send and receive electronic payments. With this agreement, companies like Coldwear, a local winter wear and travel accessories retailer, can expect to use e-commerce solutions to expand into the ASEAN region more easily. Coldwear has successfully entered the Indonesian market and plans to venture into the wider ASEAN markets, including the Philippines, Thailand, and Vietnam. Mr. Chairman, our strategy of engaging ASEAN will also take place at the bilateral level. We will press on with our suite of bilateral initiatives to deepen our economic linkages and help our companies take advantage of the opportunities in our neighboring ASEAN countries. We will intensify our engagements with our long-term partners, such as Malaysia and Indonesia. New collaborations, such as the high-speed rail and the rapid transit system, will enhance bilateral connectivity, business links, and people-to-people exchanges between Singapore and Malaysia. Enterprise Singapore will continue to explore areas of synergies in Indonesia. The Kendal Industrial Park in Central Java, a joint venture between Sembcorp Development and an Indonesian company, is one example. We hope to be able to facilitate more of such partnerships in future. We will also continue to extend our reach to other ASEAN countries such as Myanmar and Vietnam, where our companies have strong and sustained interests.